For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
The violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Albert. This is Derek Evans. We got a great show in store for you tonight, and the hits just keep coming.
Oh, yeah, Mike. Super excited, man. Awesome show lined up for you guys. As always, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching live, hop in the chat. We'd love to include you guys as part of the show. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, and shout out to all Annie Cyrus's fans, and thank you to Annie for allowing us to broadcast the program on her YouTube and other platforms this evening. Help us to expand our reach and bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And of course, you know, we've seen even more craziness today. There's been meltdowns at MSNBC, CNN. We just can't stop winning. It really is. It really does feel like a weight is just off our shoulders, and the world. It feels like the world's in a completely different place than it was just 1 week ago.
Well, I mean, it is at the end of the day. It really is a totally different place, and I'm with you. I'm super excited, and you know, every time I start to come down off of that election high a little bit, Trump makes us another some sort of appointment or an announcement, and it just gets me re-energized and re-excited all over again. So, super excited right now.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get the bad news out of the way first, and then go to some other some great stories. So, FEMA. This, everybody already knew, well, the story's already broken, but the FEMA worker who was originally kind of outed, who I guess some of her underlings leaked the text messages and other information over to Daily Wire. She has now come forward and has said FEMA worker fired for ordering workers to skip Trump houses impacted by a hurricane in Florida says it's not isolated. FEMA workers were instructed to do it in the Carolinas too. We also have this from Rep. Greg Stube. FEMA scandal larger than thought. DC was directing and advising officials to ignore homes with Trump flags. So this is not an isolated incident. This is not a lone moonbat seeking out, seeking to harm people that had a different political view than she did. And again, no sympathy. Anybody taking orders like this and then moving forward with them, you're just as guilty as the people that issued them. But now this really does require an investigation. We need to find out how far up the chain this went and how long have they been enacting this policy. Did this affect other people in other disaster zones over the course of the last 4 years? We really need to know, like, what else did they go? I know they worship at the altar of DEI, and that's what their public stated priority has been. But have they also been using a disaster as a way to enact revenge on their political rivals?
Absolutely. Well, shout out to Dan Dreyer and Godward over there in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys for being here. This is one of those things where I hope that either President Trump or whoever he announces is going to be in charge of FEMA moving forward, before they even assume office, I hope that they basically put a website out there and say, hey, anybody who has the opportunity to blow the whistle on this, come forward and blow the whistle now ahead of time, and we might be able to save your hide. But once we get in here, we're going to be doing some investigations, and there will be some criminal charges filed if we're able to do so on this, because I believe that what these people have done is absolutely criminal. And it's, it's amazing that once again, during especially the situation in North Carolina, you had a lot of people who were, and not just conservatives, you had a lot of just people in general, who knows what the party affiliation was, who was talking about, the failures of FEMA and how they were, turning people away. I know people here locally in West Virginia who went down and were told they had to leave or they were going to be arrested and such. We know the guy on the helicopter was rescuing people, all these different things. And the mainstream media labeled this as a right-wing conspiracy theory, that these things were not taking place. And once again, a conspiracy theory turned out to just be nothing more than a spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, and we see that all the time. It's getting to be ridiculous, but yeah, I think right at the beginning of Trump's administration, there needs to be a whole slew of special counsel appointments to dig into things like this, dig into the abuses of government that went unanswered during the Biden regime. Because we know this happened. We know it's happened on multiple levels. I think we ought to preemptively, too, ought to go into the IRS, see if they were still pulling any shenanigans as well. I also think we need to take those 80,000 IRS agents we were all forced to hire and maybe move those guys over to ICE. They can assist with the mass deportations.
Absolutely. And I saw somebody earlier had said something along the lines of, I guess there's been a lot of people complaining on social media about, well, when they fire all these people, that's going to hurt the economy because these people are going to be out of jobs and all this stuff. And somebody, I can't remember his name, but anyways, he commented on there and said he's got a great idea. These government employees who are losing their jobs because they're doing nothing basically except being a leech to the taxpayers, they can turn around and take the jobs of these illegals we're going to be deporting. They can work the meat backpacking plants, cut grass, and all those sorts of things, and go out and do some farm work. And then they can contribute to society and get out of the office and get some sunshine. It's going to be good for them.
Yeah, it'll be healthy for them. Man, I wish I could remember the percentage, but there is still a huge percentage of federal employees that sit at home, work remotely, and we're still paying for their office space and everything else. 4 years after COVID, what are they afraid of? Why can't they return to work? Why are we continuing to foot the bill for them?
Well, the big thing is there's some influential person has the building that the government's leasing off of them. They're getting kickbacks. I mean, that's the easiest way to launder money is, they buy that building, they lease it for way more than what it's probably worth, whether it's getting used or not. And now those people went remote and they're like, well, man, you told me we were going to be able to do this. And so they just keep leasing the property, even though it's not needed. And so I'm super excited about the direction right now. Once again, I'm on board with abolishing all of these 3-letter agencies, 4-letter agencies, all of them. They're all unconstitutional. But if they're going to remain in place, I hope President Trump does everything in his power to make sure that they can never become what they've become today. Move them out of D.C., gut them, all the way down to just basically the bare essentials of people that are necessary to do those sorts of things, and put some measures in place through Congress. A Republican-controlled House and Senate should be able to pass some actual laws that would prevent these places from doing a lot of things that they've been doing, and with some teeth behind it, with some repercussions for doing so.
Well, there is one new government department I'm very excited about, and that's going to be the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Breaking news: Trump announces creation of the DOGE to be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. You and I have been talking a lot off air, wondering where the heck Vivek was going to end up at, and now we know. I think this is a great fit. He is a fantastic communicator, and paired with Elon's skills for creating efficient companies, eliminating waste, and streamlining. I mean, this really is a match made in heaven.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give a quick shout out to Thomas over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you for being here as well. And I want to say that I am a little disappointed from a selfish standpoint, because I was hoping Vivek, if he wanted it, was going to be able to take JD Vance's Senate seat, and that would have been awesome to have seen that. But I think he's going to be way more effective here. He's also already tweeted out and said he's removing his name from consideration for that because he's accepted this role alongside Elon Musk. I'm super excited about it. I mean, we've seen what Elon Musk has done with multiple businesses, but in particularly Twitter. And the reason I bring Twitter up is not that it's more impressive, but it's different when you build a company from scratch and you have those values in place and do it like he has with Tesla and Starlink and all these other things. But he took over Tesla, which was, the company that was already built and way over fat and so many more people in place and needed. He came in and fired the majority of the people there and has it humming. And so he's going to have to do the same thing in terms of the government. You're not building this from scratch. It's already there. And he's already proven he can do those things. So I'm excited about that. And then Vivek is, he's been very open and upfront from the get-go of abolish these agencies. So I have no doubt, and Elon Musk has as well for that matter, I have no doubt that if any of these agencies survive, it will be bare bones skeleton crew who is there managing these three-letter agencies.
Well, yeah, we'll probably end up with, the 10% of people in some of these agents. I bet some of them get gutted completely. They're gone. But otherwise, we're going to end up with the 10 to 20% that actually do the work and get the job done. But, that's part of what, made Vivek, too, was getting into some of these pharmaceutical companies early on when he was out of college, trimming the fat, boosting up their research and development, and then streamlining products and then turning them around to successful companies. So we've got the two right people for the Department of Government Efficiency, and I bet the federal cry closets, there's probably a line around the block for them right now. I'm sure there's a lot of federal employees that are literally quaking in their boots. They're literally shaking right now because they know the hammer's about to come down in just a few more months, and they will no longer be able to suckle on the government teat. Absolutely. Well, we'll give a quick shout out to Watt Widow over in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you for being there. And then Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat says, crypto Doge is up. And I have no doubt that it is. And you almost have to wonder, I always wondered where the name Doge came from. I mean, did Elon already think in his head, not that he thought he was going to be in this position, but man, there needs to be a Department of Government Efficiency. So he named this thing Doge. Is that what happened? I don't know. It's just crazy. But I'm kicking myself for not buying some a long time ago now at this point. I'm not a big crypto person. I should be. But I heard that it's up from a lot of people. And man, just what an exciting time right now. Once again, to have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading up this. The thing is, this is, from what I understand, this is all encompassing Department of Government Efficiency, not efficiency in the FBI or the Department of Education. It's government efficiency. So they're going to be able to kind of analyze all of these federal bureaucracy agencies, if you will, and come in and get rid of what they can, and whatever they have to keep or think that they need to keep, they can limit that. And if nothing else, there's going to be a lot of shrinking of the federal government, which I think is going to be huge in terms of trying to balance the budget and get back on track financially as a country. Yeah. And Bitcoin's at $90,000 right now. Yeah, the Doge and Dogecoin, I got to check. I bought a bunch of that back in the day, so I got to go check, see what that's actually worth now. Maybe I'll cash out. But this is the other thought that kind of occurs to me here is normally if we start hearing about cutting government departments or trimming things down, immediately you get the media to come in and take their side, tell their sob stories, and then we don't get any cuts. Well, you've got Elon Musk over here. He's a master of social media. He owns X, Twitter, whatever you want to call about it now, but he's always been a master of utilizing social media. So as he's working in his official capacity here, going through and he uncovers that, the EPA's got 1,000 employees that haven't been into work in 4 years and he can't figure out what they're doing. He's going to put that out on social media, and there's not going to be a lot of room for pushback when he's putting up the numbers. Hey, we've paid $150 million in the last couple of years for these employees. They've accomplished literally nothing. We're sacking all of them. If you're in the media, what are you going to do? What's your comeback? Absolutely. Well, I want to give a shout out to DeWitt over in the Rumble chat. And then Dan Dreyer, kind of what you're talking about there, Mike. He says that Elon on X posted and said that all actions of Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, will be posted online for maximum transparency. And I hadn't really thought about it, but what I want to see now is when they get in there and they really start diving into this. Remember when Elon bought Twitter and they released the Twitter files? Oh, imagine the FBI files, the CIA files, the Department of Education files, the ATF files, releasing all of not only what they're going to be doing, but what they have been doing. So not only what
Elon Musk and Vivek are planning to do in terms of limiting the power of the government, shrinking it, but what was being done in the past, shine a light on some of this darkness that's been taking place behind the scenes. I think that would go a long ways, not only for excitement among our base and everything, and actually making our country better, but I think doing that has the potential to open up millions and millions of more eyeballs across the country, to where that there is a true conservative revolution. And what I mean, not violence or anything, but a great awakening, if you will, across this country, where there's a lot of people, your neighbors, for instance, who are just kind of living life, and they're focused on everything that's going on. They're distracted. That might be the very thing that opens their eyes and be like, wow, I did not realize how corrupt our government was. And maybe they'll turn conservative and be more willing to do that, and we could keep this thing rolling moving forward.
Oh, I agree 100%, because I think they're going to do a great job controlling the media cycle, keeping the media working for us. They're going to constantly feign their outrage and, again, make the case for bigger government and against us. But when you see these stories roll out over and over and over and over again from different departments, wasting money here, us sending, my favorite one to pick on, transgender studies in Pakistan. Why the hell did we just spend $200 million on this? Stuff like that hitting every day. They don't have a chance. The average person is going to be out in D.C. with pitchforks and torches. The more of this we keep hearing about, it's going to make Elon Musk and Vivek folk heroes for eliminating this waste, fraud, and abuse within our own government, and highlight. This is going to open up other doors too, because as we cut all this money and spending, getting rid of useless departments within government, and these leeches that have just been, again, suckling on our teat forever. This opens the door to things like eliminating the income tax, moving over to more of a tariff-based system. I listened to a really interesting interview about that earlier today. We'll probably get into something later this week. I'm trying to track down a guest that can help explain this better than I can. But this opens up a lot. Now, one other item that Kash Patel mentioned that I think is brilliant is they're going to have a liaison for declassification. Somebody that's not going to, two-part job. So bring this stuff out to the media, make sure that people get the information, they get it unfiltered, but also stay on these useless busybodies in government that will sit on documents and prevent declassification, basically to try to run out the clock. Because things are just declassified the minute Trump says they are. He has plenary authority on declassification as president. So he says something's declassified, nobody can override that. But there is a courtesy window for them to go in. And again, some of this stuff is reasonable. I don't want them, accidentally doxing anybody or including a name for somebody that's in deep cover overseas that they haven't discovered yet. But the rest of this information needs to come out, needs to be public. And again, we need to make sure this gets in front of the American people and they see exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And then, Annie wanted me to make sure and give a shout out to Suzanne from Canada, and then Miriam, who's with Moms on a Mission. Her show's on Patriot TV. You guys need to check that out as well. Great show. And I want to give them a shout out as well. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Mike. I mean, this is, we need full transparency on all this. This might be the I guess the pick, if you will, that I'm the most excited about so far, the biggest announcement. Even though we knew it was coming, it was like, I'm super excited to see that it's official now and moving forward. And plus, they've got the credentials to back it up. And actually, I have faith that they're going to do. And so I don't know about you guys. I kind of get that feeling that, I was being a little bit reserved because we kind of went through this in 2015, was super excited and thought, Trump, you'd be in jail to Hillary Clinton. And we thought he was going to do all these things then. And I totally get, I don't think anybody could have really realized how big this swamp was. I think his first term, looking back on it, was turned into more of a thing of just exposing just how deep and corrupt the swamp really is. And he allowed us to see that and do that. I think now with the experience and getting these people into place and everything, what we're seeing, I think we're finally going to get to see and experience what we thought we were going to see from 2016 to 2020, which that is, heads are going to roll, if you will, in a lot of these departments and a lot of these agencies. And I just cannot wait. I'm so happy to be alive and to live through this moment in our country's history, because I think that in the future, they're going to be looking back and they're going to be like, this was, like the before and after. I think that almost how we look at things I don't even want to use that term because people are going to take it out of proportion, but you know what I mean? Like before and after. Yeah. So like it's going to be before Trump and after Trump. And I think that there's a potential. I'm not saying it's there yet. There's potential that we can look back at our country's history. Well, that was pre-Trump. That was before all these things took place. These changes took place. And this is post-Trump when a lot of these government agencies were put in their place or abolished. And I think there's going to be a big reset there.
Yes, and I saw a statement from Susie Wiles just before we jumped on tonight, and I think she really nailed it. There is, as you're starting to, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically as you're starting to see Trump's agenda, that she wants to see the vast majority of these goals accomplished within the first 18 months, not even the first 2 years, the first 18 months. Give them a 6-month window to celebrate afterwards. And if that's the attitude they've got going into this, that this is just part one, what they're talking about right now, this is the first step. And I realize some of these things are going to take longer to go to completion, obviously. But if we've already got the ball rolling on all these, and it doesn't look like Trump's going to be backing down or anything else, then we're in a great position for the second half of his term to have a whole additional agenda of changes. And I really think, with like what I'm seeing right now, this could be what not literally ends the Democrats, but politically ends the Democrats going forward. If we're able to accomplish all these things and get the majority of America on board with this agenda, and 2026 and on, then our goal is to scrape the rhinos out of Congress. We could be positioned for a new boom, a new period of nearly unlimited American growth. The same podcast I was listening to earlier, he brought up something really interesting, that he talked about, like, a lot of America's might and a lot of our advantage around the world came from this post-Civil War period, about 1880 to up to, a little before the Great Depression started. But that's where we just had this booming growth. That's where all the innovation, new technologies, and the average like lifestyle for everybody was from the bottom up, moved up so much that man, what's the word I'm looking for? But that's where we saw these changes. We got one other change here. When we go ahead and just pull this up and then hand it back off, because breaking: President Trump nominates Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense in shock move. And you had some really interesting thoughts on this.
I did. So I want to give a quick shout out to Michael Ham over there in the Twitter chat, and then FG and Sean and everybody in the Getter chat. Appreciate you guys for being here. And this appointment, so everybody's super excited about it. There's a lot of videos floating out there right now too about him. He's awesome. Everybody's going to love him from everything I've seen about him, anyways. Everything I know about him, people who know him speak very highly of him. I think people are going to be super excited about it. He's completely against the DEI woke agenda. He even floated around the idea they need to go hire the guy who filmed and wrote the movie Top Gun to make ads to actually encourage people to want to be a part of. I mean, he's actually said that stuff. But what I think the bigger story here, and this is what Mike's talking about, we're talking off air. I think the bigger story here that everybody's really missing on this specific topic is that he's going from a major to Secretary of Defense. And so what I mean by this is, to me, the big story here is President Trump. It's what he didn't do. He didn't promote a general or an admiral or any of these people. So like that tells me he doesn't trust the higher up leaders in the military for him to take someone of quote unquote lower rank and promote them up to this position. You would think that some of these higher up people in there were going to be next in line, if you will. That's how the old presidency before Trump, remember we talked about before and after Trump, that before Trump, that's what they used to do. They would just take the next person and bump them up. Well, you've been here for 40 years. It's your time, man. Congratulations. We'll give you this job for 2 years before you get right off into the sunset, so you can say you made it. And he didn't do that. And so that tells me he doesn't trust those people. And so I think that's a big story that people aren't really paying attention to and catching on to right now, because that, to me, this speaks volumes, the fact that he does, and he shouldn't trust them, for the record, but that speaks volumes that he doesn't trust them enough to point some of them into these positions.
Well, yeah, and he shouldn't. All these people are tied up in the literal military industrial complex. They all got to those positions by licking boots and kissing ass, and he knows it. These are also the same people that stabbed him in the back, like Milley. I hope you're making an exit strategy, because I got a feeling you're going to be in a new position here soon, and possibly getting court-martialed. But and there's still good cards left that Trump has to play. He still has General Flynn he can put in another role. He's still got, we were talking about Tulsi Gabbard. He's talked about maybe putting her chairman of the Joint Chiefs. but there's still great people left in the arsenal that he can promote there to, again, shut out these people completely, these bureaucrats that have been working their way up to these roles to line their own pockets and betray America, and instead replacing them with people that have loyalty to America first and to Trump's agenda. And again, great pick. And, you know, I got to be honest, there's very few of Trump's picks for anything I have almost any criticism for.
No, I agree. I mean, there's been a few leak tests that I believe we talked about earlier that, you know, the thing is that people need to understand, just because a media says something doesn't mean it's true. You need to pay attention to, you know, what Trump's putting out before we get, and myself included, before we get too fired up. But I do think that some of these things get leaked to kind of test the waters. And I'm not saying it's Trump or his team who's leaking it. It might be like, well, we'll just talk about it. Rubio, really quick. He might have been the one to had somebody leak that in hopes that people would be excited, and then it kind of puts pressure on Trump to bring him in. And if that was the case, it definitely backfired on Rubio, because people do not want him as Secretary of State. And if there's someone in the Trump campaign who's doing that against Trump's wishes, then shame on you for doing that as well. But so far, I'm super excited. I think that, you know, they're doing everything strategically in terms of how they're rolling out a lot of these positions. If you notice, they're doing a big position and then what most people consider a smaller position, an ambassador or something. And don't get me wrong, they're important. They're big roles. Congratulations to all those people who are involved in that. But, you know, they're not doing all the big ones at one time or all the small ones at one time. They're kind of rolling this stuff out, and I think it's awesome. And then shout out really quick to Kelly Song over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you for being here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think the media, I think I would actually bet it's them floating some of these ideas, because when we saw all the reporting about Rubio start up a few days ago, it was all unnamed sources within the Trump administration. Yeah, I don't think there's too many people in the Trump administration that are talking to traditional media sources right now. Certainly not giving them real insider information. Sorry, but we don't trust you guys. You're fake news, and that's never been more apparent than it's been over the last week. So, I'd be careful if you don't see it directly from somebody that you know is part of the Trump's team or Trump himself. But, like you said, maybe this is a good way to shut down little Marco once and for all. But again,
and really quick, I brought up a good theory to mine. Not that Trump's going to do this. I would love to see him do this. You talk about the ultimate troll move. Is if Trump took Rubio, Lindsey Graham, all these dirtbag politicians in Congress and Senate, and offer them these juicy positions, get them in there, and then wait till their positions are filled, by the governor or whatever. They appoint somebody into their seat, and then he fires all of them just to get rid of these scumbags out of the Senate and Congress. It would be hilarious and the ultimate Trump move of all time.
Oh yeah, honestly, that's exactly what he should do. I guess the cat's out of the bag now. But yeah, just imagine getting a little rid of Lindsey Graham-nesty and some of these other just useless fools, and they'd be so excited too. Oh, I'm finally gonna get to. I'm gonna be our representative at the State Department. Great. Oh, wait, you've terminated me. Well, they already filled my seat. Oh, you mean that was always the plan?
Sorry,
yes.
The department of the new Doge group said that your department didn't meet our efficiency standards. There's no need for it. That'd be hilarious. And the other thing, on a serious note, though, I do hope people understand that. I know for a fact, I know Mike does as well, the Trump team has been working even before the election. They had people kind of working behind the scenes already in preparation of this. That was the other thing. In the first term, Trump wins, and he's like, whoa, I mean, I've got to hire tens of thousands of people in 3 months. I mean, I don't know about you. Just think about it. Do you know 10,000 people that you would trust to? I mean, I don't know what to do. So he had to rely on a lot of other people, and unfortunately, a lot of these swamp rats got involved. This go around, he's already been there. A lot of these people revealed themselves. He knows the game a lot more. He knows how a lot of this stuff works, and they've been having plans and preparations, and basically right now what they're doing is kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, at least at the higher up levels of a lot of these positions. A lot of them have been, I don't want to say officially selected a long time ago, but I would say that a lot of them already pretty much were narrowed down to just a very select few a long time ago. And those people have been crossing their T or, getting this plans together. And now that he's officially won, they're having meetings and crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and filling in the second level of positions underneath of them, which is huge. And I think that's why we're hitting the ground running. And I think it's why it's going to be a lot more efficient, and we're going to see a lot more of what we're hoping to see in the first term.
Yeah, not to mention they're also going through right now and rechecking policy, consulting experts, making sure they can go in with the most efficient, quickest way possible to eliminate potential threats, stumbling blocks, and making sure they're eliminating all the problems on the first run. So again, I couldn't be more thrilled than I am right now regarding the direction things are going and what we can expect to see soon. I'll leave it at that for now. We got more good news though with people who's filling out the ranks of the Trump administration. Breaking news: Trump appoints former DNI and loyalist John Ratcliffe as CIA director. Again, John Ratcliffe is not necessarily the name that you hear day to day. He's not the most loud person out there, but very good at his job. Very loyal to Trump, and again, he understands the problem we're facing at CIA and these other intel agencies over at the DOJ, and he will follow through and make the cuts, make the eliminations that we need, and potentially restructure the CIA, because I have a strong feeling that's the direction they're going to be going there.
Absolutely. Well, once again, quick shout out to One Dover over there in the Getter chat, and then Exemplary over here in the Twitter chat. Really appreciate you guys for being here in all the chats right now and keep being part of the show with us. And once again, it's just another big thing. I would love to see, once again, these departments completely abolished, but if they're going to exist, I'm confident that Trump has more skin in the game to gut these agencies than any of us. And I say that as a January 6th political prisoner. I've been persecuted myself. They didn't try to shoot me on national TV in front of, or worldwide television in front of everybody. So and went after his family the way that they did. He's got a lot of skin in the game on this. I have no doubt that there's a lot of these people who are very nervous, and I hope that President Trump takes it a step further, and I hope that he makes military tribunals great again.
Oh yeah, well, I have a feeling justice is going to be a big part of Trump's second administration here. We may very well see military tribunals, but I do think we're going to see a lot of arrests, a lot of hearings, and a lot of enlightening information being confirmed to the public, even just over the first few months as documents become declassified, investigations begin, and frankly, some people that are within these agencies and administrations right now that are afraid to talk, when all of a sudden they're not worried about the government coming after them for them coming forward and blowing the whistle on one thing or another, I bet a lot of them will find the courage they need to do that, and we'll have insiders telling the truth about exactly what's gone down over the last several years. We do want to kind of shift gears just a little bit here and pull into our next story. Burn the system down. Democrats now facing charges that they were the ones trying to destroy democracy. Yep, it's starting to catch up, and people are starting to figure it out. This was never an election to save our democracy, that this was all about saving their political power, expanding their grasp around all of our throats, and that's all been prevented.
Man, the Democrat Party is in a very precarious situation right now. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. It's the black dude on CNN, bald dude, Van Jones or something like that.
Van Jones, yes.
All right. So I watched a clip of him, and he was just like, look, I don't even know what to do right now. I mean, we completely got our butts kicked. Like, we look stupid. Last week I was saying that, Trump didn't know what he was doing and all these things. And he said, and he literally said this on CNN. I watched a clip of it. He said, Van Jones said, Trump is a genius and he's much smarter than all of us, and he outplayed all of us. And you realize how hard that has to be for him to not only admit that to like personal friends and stuff, but to say it on national TV. I'd be shocked. Like, if we play our cards right here, and you mentioned it earlier about the end of the Democrat Party, I think that there is potentially a strong possibility here, if we play our cards right and actually do the things that they say they're going to do. When people get a taste of this freedom, I believe you're going to see a divide. There's been a civil war within the Republican Party over the last little bit of the MAGA Republicans since Trump came on the scene, trying to wrestle and take the party over from the John McCain, Mitt Romney, globalist, warmongering neocons faction of the party, and we've won that battle. And it's been a long road, and there's been a lot of turmoil in the process within the party itself. Getting to this point, I think you're getting ready to see the same thing happen in the Democrat Party, meaning that what we saw was the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, they came on the scene and basically just took over the party, and the other side just fell in line. You know, they completely fell in line with those people. I think I'm going to start seeing more of the Joe Manchin type of Democrats, or at least attempt to start fighting back on some of these things. And to be honest with you, I'd love to see the Democrat Party die. It'd be awesome. But if they're going to exist, I think it would be really good. It would be a win for us, even if we got them just back over towards the center, to where if there is going to be a Democrat that's going to wins a seat, at least they're not going to be pushing to sexually mutilate our children and to aid and abet the invasion of our country. So that would be a huge step in the right direction. I think that's what we're going to start seeing within the Democrat Party.
Yeah, and I do think that'd be a good thing for America. And yeah, there's a massive civil war, multiple different lines across the Democrat Party right now. And I do want to say this, you know, I've said this before about Van Jones. Again, I don't agree with most of his policy, but one thing I do very much respect about him is I think he is a very honest guy. I think he calls it like he sees it. He is not one, he will tote the party line here and there, but he's not one to just strictly do that. You know, he used to do a segment with Glenn Beck. I think it was when they were on, both on CNN together. It might have been when Glenn was at Fox, but it was always really interesting because, again, the guy calls it like he sees it, and he's looking at it from the perspective that he wants to make the Democrat Party better and grow their reach and bring more people into their ideas, and he's not one to lie about it. So, you know, shout out to him. There's a few Democrats that are like that. Again, not that I agree with their policy positions, but I do at least respect their honesty. But yeah, it's very clear. And unfortunately, like, a lot of Democrats don't want to live in reality right now. They're still saying that their loss was just due to racism and sexism. And somehow Trump tricked all these Hispanic and black voters. Somehow he just bamboozled all of them into coming over and voting for him this time. Which, again, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows that isn't true. But the longer that they stay in denial and won't examine their policy, won't look at this woke ideology being a huge part of the problem, the better it is for us. If they don't get back to reality before 2026, it's going to be a clean sweep. They won't even be a thought in our minds after that.
No, I agree, and I think what we're really going to see take place is in that next the next presidential election. If you guys really think about it, it's going to be pretty wild on both sides, because it's going to be a wide open seat. There's nobody running for re-election or anybody running for, you know, election who's already served the position. So there's going to be a wide open primary.
Will run again.
Yeah, maybe, but there's going to be a wide open in the Republican side, but the Democrat side is going to be interesting, because once again, you're going to have those two factions. You're going to have some of the old school, more moderate Democrats like a Joe Manchin versus people. I'm not saying that these are the exact people who's going to run, but then you're going to have somebody on more of the AOC Bernie Sanders mentality, and it's going to be interesting to see which people on that, which I would say the Democrat voters choose, but they don't get to choose their candidates. It's funny that the party of democracy, if you will, does not get to choose their candidate because they have the super delegates. Remember, they stole the election, and you know, it's interesting. Both times that Trump's won Trump won all three times, but both times he's been going to get sworn in and certified as the winner. The first time they stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders and gave it to Hillary Clinton. The second time they stole it from Joe Biden and gave it to Kamala Harris. So it's kind of ironic when you think about that as well. They almost kind of helped us out in both instances.
Oh yeah, I wonder if America's Wine Mom makes a third run at, or a second run at things, or if she's just checked out and done.
She's done.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess you'll probably just try to get a sponsorship from Boone's Farm and start a podcast, and that'll secure her retirement. Let's go ahead and pull this next thing, because again, you know, the Democrats are at war with reality and democracy right now. There's been an interesting observation made now that they are starting to investigate elections all of a sudden. Alarming discovery. 100% of the states Kamala Harris won in 2024 allow voters to register without a photo ID. I wonder if those two items are related in any way whatsoever. Now, I'll be honest, like, there's certain states that, and I know a lot of you conservatives are out there in California are convinced that it can be won right now, that it's fraud. Sorry, I just think the population in some of these moonbat cities currently does outweigh us, especially with all the illegal aliens that are voting. But, you know, this brings up a very good point. And I do think, like, we need to take the momentum from this, especially with a lot of leftists that are questioning elections and questioning the results. I think we do need to form a commission and set federal guidelines for federal elections. That's where they do have power. They could force all states to require voter ID, and finally, once and for all, eliminate electronic voting machines. We just have to have the will to push it through. The Democrats really don't have the juice to stop us right now. So now is the time to act, and then we can ensure that we have free and fair elections going into the future, at least at the federal level. We can't make your state, correct your statewide elections. That's up to you. But we could at least put some guardrails in and some requirements in that would make it much, much, much more difficult for there to be a major steal or a major cheat operation again. Forcing states to clean up their voter rolls, ID and other simple changes are something we can do immediately. And it's something that if we put a commission together, we can probably get enough Democrats on board too, that we can push it through and help better America.
I hope and I wish that President Trump would put together a Department of Election Integrity, if you will, and put some people like Dr. Douglas Frank and people like that in charge of that, and which gives them the legal authority to go in and do forensic audits on federal elections, regardless of what state that it's in. And once again, like you said, I mean, there might be something, some hair there in terms of getting in the mud a little bit if you want to try to go to a city council race or something. But in terms of president, U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, they should have the authority to go in and actually do a forensic audit on these things and take somebody who knows what they're doing. Like I said, Dr. Frank is, renowned in this and is a true patriot and doesn't really get enough credit and enough eyes on the work that he's doing in the election integrity circle. But I think that needs to be a major thing moving forward, to go in and while we have the opportunity and go back and honestly investigate 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, and give them enough data to really do a true in-depth forensic analysis and a forensic comparison between these with the voter rolls and all that. Seth Keshel's another one who should be on that team. Get these people in there who live, eat, sleep, breathe this stuff, and get them involved in this so we can actually start cleaning up our elections. And then after we get that, I already know what this evidence is going to say. We all see it already for ourselves. But then once we get that, then we start pushing forward in terms, like you said, getting rid of the machines. And if the very least thing that Republicans should do in terms of election integrity is, it's already illegal for these machines to be hooked to the internet. If these states are going to be determined to use machines for whatever reason, they say it makes the counting of the votes go quicker, but obviously it's going slower using these. But if they're determined to use them, then they should at the very least strengthen that law and pass a law that says machines are not allowed to have the capability of being hooked to the internet. So if they're not allowed to be hooked to the internet, why are they even built with the capability of hooking to the internet? There should be no Wi-Fi cards or any of those things in there. They should just, if they're determined to use it, it shouldn't even have the capabilities of being hooked to the internet. And that would actually do a lot in terms of cleaning that up as well.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. Well, that's, and I like your idea of putting a commission together, get Clay Parikh and many of the other experts on it.
Yeah.
Grab Clint Curtis. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, Clint Curtis is a Democrat that built software back in 2000. He wrote a program called 5149 that he thought was going to be used as a demo to show that the machines could be hacked. And afterwards, he believes that it was used to hack and steal an election in the year 2000 or 2004. I'll have to double check. I'll see if that. Yeah, actually, I'll reach out to Clint and see what we can do there.
And then Greg and Catherine, True the Vote, those people, get them involved in this. And then in the Rumble chat, Be Happy brings up something. And I can't believe we didn't even bring this up on our own. We forgot about it. Thank you for Be Happy. It says, and this is why it's important if you guys are commenting in the chat, because you guys really bring a lot of value to the show. Be Happy says, illegal shouldn't be counted in the census counts. And that was a big thing that's really shaped the Electoral College. That's one of the reasons West Virginia, for instance, we lost a congressional seat because of that. We barely lost one, and had the illegals not counted in other areas, we would have had another member of Congress representing us, which is a safe red seat and worth one more point in the Electoral College. But that's what's happening right now. Even though they're not technically allowed to vote in our federal elections, they have been counted in the census, which determines how many members of Congress your state gets, how many Electoral College votes your state is worth, all those things. And so I believe Trump actually tried to fight that going into 2020, but I think it was too late. But we need to take that to the Supreme Court. Right now, I think we have the Supreme Court justices who would rule in our favor and get that solidified and marked down ahead of the 2030 census, which I know it sounds really far away if you think about it, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. We're one more election cycle away from really discussing a 2030 census and how it's going to shape things.
Yeah, well, I think you're exactly right. This was supposedly one of Trump's backup strategies had he ended up at 269 electoral votes, but he was going to pursue that because Texas and Florida were both robbed by of representation of delegates in the House and electoral votes. And again, why is it, it almost always happens this way, that the people conducting the census, they will make mistakes that favor New York and California, allow them to retain representatives, and they strip them out of red states. We know this happened in several instances, like you said, West Virginia, Florida, Texas, Ohio, Tennessee, and I am forgetting another solid red state, so I apologize for that one. And the reps should have come out of Michigan, Illinois, New York, California, and I believe, I can't remember if it was Wisconsin or Minnesota, but those states all retained reps that they should not have, and they should have been moved to solid red states, but somehow there's always a mistake. But yeah, we need to go back.
Imagine another 4 to 5 safe red seats in the Congress right now. So instead of having 218 or whatever, or 220, we have 225. That allows some of these rhinos to, vote the other way, and we still get our agenda passed. So we don't just barely have a majority; we have a little bit safer of a majority. And so it's a major issue. And I'm glad that Be Happy brought it up. We have to get this fixed moving forward, and we need to get that fixed under the Trump administration over the next 4 years.
Well, yeah, that's why I think Trump's got to be like a freight train, just never stopping. It's got to be like it was during the Obama years. I remember, and I wasn't nearly as involved at the time, but it felt like every time we started to fight back against one proposal or another, the next one was hitting us from the other side. And that's exactly what we've got to be the ones to do now, is every single week there's got to be a new part of the agenda coming forward. So before too long, the Democrats and their allies posing as journalists in the media are just so frazzled that they can't keep up with everything that Trump is pushing forward, that we are constantly on the attack and they are constantly on the defensive. And that's how we win, and we get some of our goals pushed through basically unopposed, because they'll have just lost the resources to deal with us.
Love it. Absolutely. I agree 100%. We just got to keep all gas, no brakes, baby. Let's roll.
That's right. Well, here's another one to keep your eyes on, because again, the Democrats they're constantly at war with democracy. Urgent breaking: Bucks County, PA is breaking the law by counting undated and incorrectly dated ballots in race Dave McCormick has already won. And let me throw one other one at you guys right now that I don't have a slide for. But Kamala Harris is now starting to raise money for a recount. She sent out fundraising letters. No, I'm dead serious. She sent these out to her followers, her fan club, her sycophants. Was saying she wants to raise money for a recount. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, if you read the fine print, this is mostly going to be going to the DNC, and it doesn't say that she's spending it on a recall for her race, so maybe this is to help facilitate recalls for Democrat House reps or whatever, or to pay off her $20 million campaign debt. But regardless, yeah, all of a sudden she's denying an election that she already conceded. Now, granted, she was probably drunk and doesn't remember she conceded, but still, she did do it. Somebody needs to show her the video.
Absolutely. I mean, great point. I mean, on this. So, I mean, it's amazing. She raised around $1 billion, blew through that in roughly 2 months, approximately 2 to 3 months, finished $20 million in debt. And this person wanted to be in charge of the economy and of the budget and everything in our entire country. Like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you blow through that much money? I mean, in 2 months' time. I mean, I think you could take pretty much anybody in this country and say, here's $1 billion, and you got 2 months. And I don't know. I think it'd be difficult for me to spend that kind of money unless I was out just buying land and stuff. I mean, you're not doing that. But I mean, like, that's insane if you really think about that. She's finished $20 million in debt. You can't even make this up. And then she wanted to be in charge of the entire country and the economy and the budget and all of that. Gosh almighty, we dodged a bullet there.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you where the money went. It went to paying social media influencers. It went to building sets for Call Her Daddy. It went to paying celebutards to show up at her rallies and then not sing or perform music, so everybody else walks out the door once they walk off the stage. I guess she could afford to get Lizzo and whoever else there, but she couldn't afford the cost for them to sing one song. Um,
Yeah, what a
yeah,
terrible negotiator. You pay somebody $10 million, a singer, $10 million, and you don't even get a song out of them. I mean, like that is crazy in terms of negotiation skills as well. I mean, that's literally what they do. Quick
yeah.
shout out to MAGA over here, at Sebastian106 over here in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you for being here as well.
Yeah, instead you get Cardi B to show up, freak out on stage, get her assistant, Precious, I think was her name, that poor lady, to bring her cell phone so then she can, incoherently read at a third grade level whatever was written on the cell phone. Well, here, we're almost out of time, but I want to pull a couple of these other ones too, real quick. So, exclusive. Speaker Johnson orders the entire Biden administration to preserve and retain all records and documents. Something's coming, and Biden's probably I don't know, he's probably not coherent enough to be shaking in his boots, but I'm sure Kamala Harris and some of these other people within the Biden regime are absolutely terrified of what's coming their way in the next 6 months.
As they should be, but I don't know. This is not something we're covering, but I know we're winding down, and it's tomorrow. There's rumors that some of the conservatives are actually going to challenge Speaker Johnson for Speaker of the House
Yep.
tomorrow as well. And the difference is between that and our cowards in the Senate, the cowards in the Senate are going to take a secret vote, whereas in the Speaker of the House, if someone does challenge him, it's public. We will actually get to see it. Oh, you do have that up there. My bad. Okay, awesome. I know we're some perfect timing. So there's rumors that's going to happen, and it's going to be interesting to watch that tomorrow. So you guys be on your toes and make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah, and I'm glad that this is something that's potentially happening. Again, we fought. There was a huge battle to get rid of McCarthy after he stabbed us in the back over and over and over again. Johnson made promises too that have gone undelivered. We need a real leader, not somebody that's negotiating with the left behind the scenes to sell us, the rest of us, out. I want a real fighter up there. I don't care if that means government gets shut down for 3 weeks and the Dems and their sycophant allies in the media go out there and cry about it. I don't care. Especially if we've got somebody, with Trump and the other people within his administration able to bypass their filter, go directly to the American people and explain why these losers in the House had to shut down government because they couldn't agree on stuff that, that they want to include in the border bill, for example. They pretend that Trump shut this down and that's why we have the problem. Well, you know why it got shut down? It's because it would have allowed 5,000 people per day to cross the border. Nothing would be done about it. And then the president had the option to then close the border after we hit 5,000 a day. Anyway, whole difference for another time.
Well, if there was ever a time to actually have this battle, it's now. Because what we needed to be doing right now is slow playing everything. We want to slow everything that the Biden-Harris regime wants to do to a halt. And so if that means we make a motion to vacate and have this big battle, who cares if it takes the next 3 months, 2 months, or whatever? As long as they have it settled by January 21st, we're good to go. So who cares if that's what it takes? Like, shut this sucker down right now. Don't give them an opportunity to pass another bill coming forward. And we need to halt everything and wait till President Trump and wait for the cavalry to arrive in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress and get things moving forward in a positive and the right direction.
Bingo. Well, one last story I want to get to tonight. Some wonderful news. Top stars at CNN on the chopping block as network may fire hundreds after Trump landslide victory, and CNN is not the only one feeling the pain. MSNBC's ratings are down about an average of 59% across the entire network after their audience feels like they've been lied to for the last 4 years, and their hosts can't seem to come to grips with the reality of what Trump winning means.
Well, once again, they did it to themselves and going too far. And I really believe that this started the demise with the average viewer out there is when they started trying to lie and tell everybody that the economy was great under Joe Biden. And when they continued to do that. And I think that people was like, dude, you're lying to me. Like, I mean, so what else are you lying to me about? And I really believe that. I mean, for us here on Rumble and Twitter and all these places with Getter, we got rid of the mainstream media. We opened our eyes a long time ago, but to the vast majority of the people they hadn't, I believe that they overplayed their hand with this by trying to shove this fake narrative down their throats that the economy was doing great. That the average person who was just sitting there was like, I'm done with this. Like all they want to do is lie about this junk because I know what the cost of milk, bread, and eggs are, and so I really believe that was a part of this, anyways. At least the nail in the coffin, probably in terms of all that.
Well, you're exactly right. Like the average American did not immediately become completely infatuated when some brat decided to fall out of a coconut tree, and they couldn't get us to buy it, and their power is waning. I guess the CIA is going to have to find a new way to try to control America, but I don't think they're even going to have that option with Ratcliffe coming in and the rest of the plans that are already rolling. Their heads are already on the chopping block. The axe just hasn't come down yet.
Absolutely. Shout out to Brent over here from Canada in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you for being here. And then Godward has, I know we're winding down here. Dan Dreyer said in the Rumble chat, retribution is coming and it's going to be glorious. And then Godward said, I wonder how President Trump's meeting with Joe Biden will go tomorrow. And I'm excited to see how that goes as well. And then Peter Ducey was asking some doozy questions over there today. And you know what? Shout out to him. He has really held it down in that the White House briefing room there over the last 4 years under the Biden regime, and really has been somebody who's brought us a little bit of joy throughout this entire time of just watching him stick it to him for all of us.
Oh yeah, shit. Alex Jones for press secretary. I would. Oh my God, I'd love to see it. That would be the best thing ever.
Just a week, I'd be happy.
Oh man, no, I want him up there. I want him up there forever, for months.
Oh, I know. I'm saying I would be happy if it was just a week. Like I would still be happy. It would be the best week of my life. I would watch every single press briefing that they had if he was in there.
You, the communist in the back. What do you want? Fake news, CNN. You got a question? Well, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to see. We'll be back again tomorrow with even more.